there. We want to bring Seth Kaplan in as well. He's from Airline Weekly, and he follows these trends closely. Seth, are you surprised that they haven't done more to raise prices, the airlines?
Well, there's only so much they can do. I mean, it's really through capacity moves, right? It's a supply and demand economics. It is, as Bill said, a competitive enough industry that you can't just raise prices. I mean, the way airlines get there is through constraining capacity. The problem is that when you start constraining capacity, then that actually pushes up your unit costs, too. And because these airlines are worried about cost, it's kind of this delicate balance between, trying to keep fares at a certain level, but to do that, you would actually end up pushing up your labor costs and some other costs when you cut capacity, because this is largely a fixed cost industry. You become less productive.
Seth, which airlines do you think are best placed to benefit from the summer travel season?
Well, look, it's airlines that have a lot of east-west exposure in the summer. United, in fact, Phil mentioned, having spoken to Oscar Munoz earlier, United tends to peak in the summer. They're an airline that tends to have a more difficult winter, not a lot of Florida exposure, places, Caribbean places that peak in a month like March, but they tend to do rather well in the summer. Having said that, they're exposed to a lot of the competitive forces out there. The ultra-low-cost carriers, an airline like Spirit that's growing very rapidly, whereas an airline like Delta or Southwest a little bit less exposed to that. Hawaiian, obviously, right now, an airline you've got to be a little more concerned about, because there's all kinds of new capacity there at the same time that you have the volcano going on.
Phil, I think you sort of perfectly summarized what's going on here. You have the airline index down 10% year to date. Jet fuel's up like 50%. And Seth was kind of highlighting these guys that can't really just raise prices that easily.
Correct.
But that's got to have investors a little concerned.
Well, I think at the end of the day, what investors are worried about is where's the next growth cycle coming for the airlines? Because you look at this and you say you've got incredibly strong demand. You are adding capacity. I think something like 2.6 million people on any given day will be flying this summer, an increase of about 100,000 compared to last year per day in additional passengers. So you have this demand at an incredible level right now, and yet, could it go much higher? No, maybe not, or there's no cap on it, but the upside seems to be a little bit limited right now. And yet at the same time, when you look at jet fuel, people remember when we had jet fuel much higher than where it is right now, and that's the concern in the back of the mind of investors.
Certainly, if you're planning a road trip this summer, you got to be looking at the cost for, gas pump versus these flights. So I guess it's a good time. Maybe more people will take to the skies. Guys, thank you both.
Thank you.
Seth Kaplan, Phil LeBeau talking airlines with us.